Partners, if you are dating a sex addict or you're married to a sex addict, I want you to understand and just prepare you for the reality that oftentimes sex addicts will relapse. That doesn't give them permission to do that when I say that they do relapse. It just means that they're in a learning process and they're trying not to act out in a sexual way as they would in the past in their addiction. I don't think many women were ever ready to find out their partners or significant others were sex addicts. And once they do find out, many of them aren't expecting a relapse. In either case, I would like to prepare you a little bit for such an occasion. I think in general, when someone is dealing with betrayal, it's very easy for them to activate into very intense emotions like anger or sadness. And in that emotional intensity, oftentimes one loses rationale. They lose the ability to think in a positive and constructive manner. And how that takes place usually is, let's say a relapse happens. Once the relapse happens, the thought process kicks off, and a woman might think, why did this have to happen? Or how could he have done this again? We've talked about this. He told me that he would tell me the truth and he's lying. He's not doing his work, etc., etc., etc. When those types of thought processes engage, usually a betrayed partner gets more anxious and more angry and less rational. That's kind of an automatic process. It's an autopilot process. And it can become a manual process, meaning when you become aware, you can change the process and you don't necessarily need to be on autopilot. But it does take a lot of awareness and it takes a lot of practice. So a woman who's been betrayed, when something like this happens, she ought to go into a grounding mode or a meditation instead of a similar thought process that I just displayed. So what does a meditation look like, or a grounding exercise, or a mindfulness exercise? I utilize all those words interchangeably. So what does it look like during activation? Well, instead of thinking, he did it again, he shouldn't have done that, I hate him, what am I going to do about this? Instead of going down that thought process, I might pick a meditation that I call words on repeat. So what words on repeat does is it grabs a few or chooses a few words that are calming and that soothe, and it repeats them over and over and over again. For example, some words that I've chosen in the past are be still, breathe, and relax. And if you were to choose those three words, we would just say it over again, over and over again. Be still, breathe, and relax. And you can notice my tempo. You can notice the space between each word that I say. You can notice me taking a breath, slowing down, and only focusing on those words. If my mind wanders, that's okay. Like, it's very common for someone to leave that particular meditation and start going back into their old process of, I hate this guy, I can't believe he did it. When you notice that, go ahead and bring your mind back to the meditation. Be still, breathe, and relax. And focus solely on those words. Another meditation example would be a meditation that I call the Great Association. So what I might do is take a particular thought or a word and then conjure up association. So for an example, I have chapstick on my desk, so I say the word chapstick. Then I think of an association, the first word that comes to my mind, which is wax. Then from wax, I think of candle. And from candle, I think of flame. And then from flame, I think of warmth, and then a home and family. And then love, growth. I also think of difficulty. And I think of an education, etc. And I can continue to think of all of these word associations. And as I do that, oftentimes I will calm down. When I pick meditation first, I tend to calm and then get rational. And so I always teach women in betrayal to ground first, to get calm first through meditation, through mindfulness, through grounding skills. And then afterwards, we evaluate the situation. When I'm calm, I can say, okay, what went wrong? How should I handle this? And most likely, I'll choose a more rational way of handling the situation. If I choose the more natural or learned way, which is thinking and evaluating first rather than getting calm, most people get more activated and they behave more irrational, and it creates more turmoil in the relationship. So the rule is mindfulness, grounding, meditation, calm first, and then evaluation.